Hi, this is Cheryl Smith with Heartland Stamping, and I'm here tonight to show you some fun tricks with Gilded Leafing and just talk a little bit about our mini messages bundle. The Gilded Leafing is so pretty, so fluffy, light. Oh, see, look, it just kind of floats in my hand. I bought this jar and I put it into another container because when you open this and start to take some out, it's just so fluffy and light. It just seems to expand as it's coming out. So I put it inside this container and I've used a ton of it. And the kicker is I put half of this jar in another container and gave it to a member of my downline for her to play with. So it really, really does go a long way. I've seen several different techniques for this, and I'm going to show you my favorite one tonight, and it's using the Gilded Leafing with little glue dots. Let me show you a little bit about where this all comes from. The mini catalog for Stampin' Up! January through June version. The Fine Art Floral Suite is the designer series paper that we're using today. And then the Gilded Leafing is right here, and both of those are on page 33. Of course, you can find them online at cherylsmith.stampinup.net. And the mini messages bundle that we're going to be using is on page 35, and it is a great sayings and little tags, stamp and die, and it punches all of the sayings out at once. So I put my sayings that I have all punched out in like a fishing tackle box that you can kind of customize. So it has those little dividers that you can move around, and it just keeps all those sayings there. So whenever I have one, and I'll show them to you, I've got a bunch of them already punched out. They're ready to go, and then whenever I need a card, a lot of times when I make my cards, I don't put a saying on them just so that I can use them, you know, choose what I need to use them for later on. Let's see, what do we want to do first? Let's do the stamping first, and then I'm gonna put this Gilded Leafing back in the container. Like I said, it is just so fluffy and light. You see, I just kind of tap it and it floats off in there. So just be prepared. You might have a little extra sparkle when you leave your craft room if you're using this. Get these out of the way for you guys. And we'll bring in our Stamparatus. Now, I really do like using the Stamparatus to stamp this saying because there are so many, you're bound to get one that you might not have quite enough ink on. So this will kind of alleviate that problem. I'm going to put an ink pad behind this to support it. I'm going to use my Night of Navy ink pad to get some good coverage on there. If you don't have another ink pad to put behind there, just hold your hand behind it. You always want to give your plate some support so that you're not putting too much stress on the hinge area or the plate itself. So I'll make sure I get lots of ink on there. And then we're going to do a 6.5 by 5.5 piece of paper. You want to make sure that it's plenty high enough so that is this one that size? Wow, I think we need to do this piece right here. There we go. I thought I cut it 6.5 by 5.5, you guys, but I'm not too certain about that. So we'll see. We'll see how it comes out. We're just going to go ahead and roll, and maybe I might not be able to use the top one, and if so, that'll be a good learning process for you guys. Now that you can learn from my mistakes is what I'm trying to say. I might make a couple. So push that out of the way. Just push really firmly all over. You don't have to press super hard, except for right here in the middle. That's such a tiny, thin little font. I want to make sure that it gets all the attention that it needs. And then we'll just pick it right up And that looks pretty good. I do notice that that star, I probably didn't press hard enough on that. So I'll put some more ink right there. But the rest of them all look really good. I look at that star, that one, these things over here on the edges. So just press harder on that star. There we go. So the Stamparatus, perfect for this. It will really help you make sure every one of these is perfect. And if it's not, you can easily go back over them. Great little tool. Make sure if you have one of these, you don't let these magnets snap together. They're very strong, but they are brittle, so that's just the nature of this type of magnet. If they snap together, they might break. So keep them separated, you know, like two kids that can't play together. Keep them in opposite corners of the room. Now, let's set that out of the way. You have this guy, and here is the die that goes with it. And the reason you want to make sure that you have plenty of room up at the top is, you see how this one is rounded. Well, I cut my first one too short, and then it was straight up at the top because I didn't have enough room for this scallop circle. So make sure that you leave enough room for that at the top, a little extra. And when you're lining these up to do the die cutting, I line up the stars and the heart, and then I make sure all the sayings look good, and then I will roll it through. But I've already done that for you guys so that we didn't have to watch me do a bunch of die cutting. So let's move on. Pretend that we've already done that, which we have, and we're going to start putting our card together. Because our card base is navy, we're going to put a white piece on the inside. So if you wanted to stamp a sentiment or write a sweet little note, you wouldn't have to have a white gel pen to do that. We're going to put our strip right here. I cut a 1/2 inch strip of the DSP that coordinates with the DSP that I'm using on the front. And I'm just going to put one thin line right here down the side. And I always tend to cut these a little long so it sticks off of both ends. And then that way I can trim the end and make it smooth and flush, and I don't have to worry about one being just a little bit too short. So just flip that over, and you see how this is sticking off the edge just a little bit. We're going to snip those off. Right smooth with the edge. My little paper snips are great for that. And then we're going to fold the cardstock. I've already scored it with my paper trimmer, has a scoring blade. And get my bone folder out. Give that a nice crisp edge. Then on the inside, we're just going to put our little card, and I'm not going to stamp a saying right now. I may not want to, I may just want to write my own. So we'll just go with that. Put that right on here. Okay, so look at that. The inside is already done. Now let's work on the front. This great wood grain paper is from the In Good Taste DSP pack. And on the back side, it's a lovely like stone wall. Almost, I think I've seen some backsplash material that is very similar to this. Looks like little stone tiles. And then on this side we have this wood grain, and it's got just a hint of a yellow cast to it, you know, like a little nice and warm. And that's going to go right here on the front. We're going to do some things to it before we stick it down though. Okay, let's grab our paper snips. I've got a little tiny piece of the gold foil, and I am going to snip right up in the center of that. And then I can go from the corner to the center, and from this corner to the center, just a tiny bit more. There we go. And that's the easiest way I can make a banner. I know that sometimes you can use corner punches and turn them on their side. But sometimes I have a hard time getting those even. So that's my favorite way of doing that. And if you want to know the measurement, that is a 1 inch by 3/4 inch piece of the gold foil. So we're going to set that right over here. We're going to need that in just a minute. We're also going to need some circles. So we're going to punch with our 1.5 inch circle punch. And that'll pop right out. Set that one there. The next thing we're going to need is, let's see, we've got our 2 inch punch. So we're going to need our petal pink. And I am going to just very quickly snip these off. So I want to come in on this side. And that will give us access. There we go. So we've got a petal pink piece, and that's a 2 inch circle. And then we're going to bring in some of that really pretty Fine Art Floral Designer Series paper. This is great. It's got some Merlot and some Flamingo, a little petal pink, kind of to Blushing Bride almost, somewhere in between. So it's going to go with a lot of different stuff. This side has got some Bumblebee fading to Saffron, really pretty, some geometric shapes in there. And this pairs well with some other DSP in this pack. So it's kind of the opposite of what you see on front. But this navy piece right here in the center of the flowers, doesn't that look great on there? I just love that. We're going to punch this one out with the 2 1/4 inch punch. And to make sure you get the right, just right in the right area, I always take it out and I can see the edges of the paper and I just push it in to where that edge disappears, and then I can punch. Okay, so now we've got our DSP, we've got our petal pink, and we've got our Mary Merlot. We're going to stamp on the Mary Merlot with this classic Stampin' pad in Mary Merlot ink. So it's the same color ink as we have cardstock, and we're just going to stamp that right there. Now the stamp set that I'm using is Circle Celebration. It's got a lot of great circles, and we're using this stamp right here. This stamp looks great on this circle. It fits it really well, but today we're just stamping it on a plain cardstock circle. Okay, so we're also going to rough up the edge, and you can use your thumbnail or your bone folder. I'm going to use just the closed edge of my paper snips. Just rough up that edge a little bit. I'm not going to rough it up evenly, just going to rough it up a little bit, give it a little bit of a distressed look. And then if you want to press in just in certain areas with your fingernail, your thumbnail, just give it a little bit extra in some areas. So we'll set that there. Now this piece, I have another one that I did, and I ran it through our textile embossing folder. You probably can't see it a whole lot. This is what it looks like, and I'll try to hold it closer, but it's a very subtle texture. So this isn't a, hey, notice me, look at me, I'm the kid in the room. This is just a great complementary piece. And you'll notice this one has a little piece out of it. When I was punching that, it was just, so close to having enough room. And I went, wait a minute, I'm going to layer this, and this is going to go right over that. So just a great use for your paper. If it's that close and you know you're going to layer it, you just lay that strategically over that spot. So let's grab our paper. Oh, I'm going to stress this one just a little bit too. Like I said, I'm not going to go over every little bit of that, but just rough this one up a little bit too. That'll make it stand up a little bit off of the paper, because we're not going to use dimensionals on this one. So kind of lay these out and see where you're going to want them to go. Now I know that this area right here is where I'm going to want my tag, and we're going to use this tag right here. the thank you for being you. So that spacing is going to work really well. I'm going to start with this piece. Just pull that out. I'm only going to put some liquid glue right in the middle because I don't want those edges to be down hard. I want them to be able to just fan up a little bit. All right, so we've got our first piece down. The second piece we are going to use some dimensionals on, and let's grab those. Oh, I know I have some mini dimensionals here. There we are. So I think we just need 3 on this little circle. And while we're loading up, let's just go ahead and load this guy too. We'll put 4 on that one. And maybe, since it's going to be over the top of this one, I don't want one right there. Or maybe right there, because that would be 2 layers. So yeah, you have to make sure you don't double up on your dimensionals right there. So peel all these off really quick. And I don't want those 2 to be straight on top of each other. I want it to be offset just a little bit. So I'll pull that one over. And then this piece, I said we want to put right here with those petals going out. And then I needed to slip 1 more dimensional. If you ever need to put one in place and you've already got your project down, just take your pick tool or your paper snips, and you can just slide that right in there like that. Okay, so now we're going to put on some linen thread. And uh-oh, I misplaced my linen thread, you guys. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Linen thread is something we've had in the catalog for quite some time. It's something I use a lot of, and I know it's probably just underneath a layer because I had it out just a second ago. Okay, well, if I find it, we'll come back to that. Let's work on this tag for now. So we want to put some dimensionals on this because we're going to pop that up just a little bit. A couple of dimensionals on here. And that linen thread's going to go right in the middle. So I'm going to put 1 here because I know that's going to go there. And then I'm going to put 1 up in that corner. So let's get 1 of these. There we go. All right, so the linen thread's going to go on there. This piece, we're going to stick right about here. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that on. Just put a little bit of that liquid glue at the bottom of this tag, and we'll put that right over the top of this. So it's going to go just like that. All right. So, I don't know what I did with the linen thread, you guys. I'm so sorry. We'll have to just show you the ones that have the linen thread, and this one I'll probably add it to it later when I see it. But that way you'll at least get the idea. Do you ever have that happen? Something just disappears off of your workstation? It's ridiculous. It's usually under something. Okay, so that's gonna go right like that. Whoops. And then we're gonna take this and we're gonna put this right on here. I'm not gonna glue it down because I have to put that linen thread underneath. So I'll tell you what I did with the linen thread, and then you guys will know what happened. But I put little tear and tape back here on the back side, and then I attach the linen thread. See if I can pull this up just a little bit. I just attached the linen thread back here with some tear and tape. So I'll attach it from the back, run it to this side, and then it's attached to the back on this side with linen thread, and I just go back and forth. I don't wrap it around because I don't want to waste my linen thread on the back side where nobody sees it. So once I get those 3 on there, then I'll tie a little bow or something separately. I just glue all those 3 down underneath, and then this one I tied in a bow separately, and then this one I tied in a knot separately. So I just cut off other little pieces and add those. I don't try to wind it around and then tie a knot to hold it, because that just makes it too hard and it can be a little stressful. So make it easy on yourself. Wrap it around, or do what I do and just tape it on the edges and tuck it behind and stick it down, and then do your knot or bow separately. It'll save you a lot of heartache. Let's do our final piece, which is I'll show you how to do these great little mini glue dots with our gilded leafing. Mini glue dots have been around forever, and they have so many great uses. Putting sequins down, you know, before we had adhesive back sequins, I would always use little mini glue dots. We're gonna put a mini glue dot right here, so you can see. And then another mini glue dot's gonna go, let's put one right here. Or maybe we'll put one above, because I think I'm just gonna do a knot on this one and it'll hang down. So there's a little mini glue dot. And then we're gonna do one more over on this side. And notice I don't touch them. I just lay them directly down on there because they're perfect little circles. And if you touch them, it'll stretch them and do weird things. So I don't know if you can see those if I turn them in the light just a little bit, but that's where they are. So let's get out our gilded leafing. And this is actually the lid to my little container. If I have a piece with several areas that have some kind of adhesive or the heat and stick powder on them, I will take that and I will lay it down into that plastic container. But for this, I know where those little glue dots are, and I can just pick up little pieces and lay right over the top. And you want to make sure that the entire glue dot is covered. So if one piece isn't big enough, just come back in with another one. There we go. And just press down on there and make sure they're stuck really well. And like I said, if you have a bigger piece, you literally are going to, excuse me, take your paper and press it down in there, and it'll come up with a lot more stuff on it. But that's okay. You're just going to take your little sponge, and this is just one of our stamping sponges cut into a wedge, and you're just going to rub. And wherever you rub, the excess is going to come off, and it's only going to stay where your adhesive is. You can use tear and tape. You can use these little glue dots or foam adhesive sheets. You can even use some of this multi-purpose liquid glue, and you have to let it dry. It becomes tacky, kind of like a Post-it note, but it will be the same thing. Wherever you put this, let's say we wanted to put some gilding on these flowers, just add a little gold edge to the edge of the petals. We just put a thin line of that glue, set it aside and let it dry. Come back in here, stick it in this, and then you would have gold on there. It's so cool. Get that excess off there. So that is how you do the little embellishments. I mean, they look just fabulous. People are going to say, what are those? How did you do that? And you'll have to share your little secret. So that is the gilded leafing. Here are the ones with the twine on them, or the linen thread. I'm telling you, that is just killing me. That I'm gonna find them in like 2 seconds after this video is over and just laugh. Oh my gosh. So there they are. Super cute. Remember, if you want any of these products, it was from the Fine Art Floral Suite. We have the Fine Art Floral DSP, we have the Gilded Leafing, and the Circle Celebrations stamp set. That's also in the January through June mini. And finally, the mini messages bundle, the stamp set and dies, is what I use to make all of these little sayings. And remember, I just stamped it and die cut it, and I had a bunch of sayings. So awesome, so cool. Thanks for stopping by. Remember to subscribe if you want to see more videos whenever a new one is released. And please remember to liking someone, whether it's their video or over on Facebook, if it's a post, is just a very simple and inexpensive way to help support the business of someone that you enjoy. So please remember that. It's just a very, very simple thing to do, but it means so much to all of us who are making our business out here in the land of social media. Thanks so much for stopping by. Remember CherylSmith.stampinup.net, and hope to see you again real soon.